project that is being ushered in by the Citizenship Amendment Act. When we talk about the Citizenship Amendment Act, it is not about the persecution of religious minorities. It is about cementing Indian religious minorities into a permanent second class and creating the largest Muslim registry and detention project in the world. It does not stop with Muslims though, because imagine who will have difficulty proving their papers. Let me ask you, how many of you have your tax receipts or your tax returns from even 3 or 4 years ago? Imagine who would have difficulty proving their citizenship, given the fact that we are already the site of multiple genocides in South Asia. Whether we are talking about partition, whether we're talking about the second partition between Bangladesh and Pakistan, whether we're talking about the Marjachapi massacres, where the Namashudras of Bengal were massacred on both sides of the border, whether we're talking about the Sri Lankan genocide, we are a region rife with religious atrocity. So it is a monstrosity for the Hindu right to come forward and say they are supporting the rights of persecuted religious minorities when they were founded to persecute religious and caste minorities. Yes. Woo! So that is why we are here with a very clear message, especially as someone who grew up in Los Angeles. I grew up going to Artesia. I grew up going to Artesia where it was only 4 or 5 stores. And what we have to be really clear about is that the money and the political diplomatic support for the Hindu right doesn't just start in India, it is also here in the mean streets of Artesia and Los Angeles. How many of us who are caste oppressed, who are religious minorities, the religious minorities are not just Indian Muslims. We are talking about Indian Ravadasis, Indian Sikhs, Indian Christians. We have been to these restaurants, we have been to these stores, and we are hearing people openly say Islamophobic and anti-Dalit language. How many people have heard that? Yes. How many people have heard anti-queer and anti-trans language? Yes. This is not who we are as a South Asian diaspora. That's right. We should not let a vocal, upper caste Hindu network define the future and the destiny of our communities here. And make no mistake, one of the groups that we are here to mobilize around is the Overseas Friends of the BJP. That's right. Now, if you don't know who the Overseas Friends of the BJP are, they are the allies of the BJP party in India. And if you are a faculty member or a student who has signed a letter around not welcoming Modi when he came here in California, if you stood up around the erasure of caste and Islam from California textbooks, you probably got a threatening letter from them.
We sure did.
Who got a threatening letter from the Overseas Friends of the BJP?
Probably death threats.
That's right. But in addition to those death threats, post-Modi winning, they have launched an impressive campaign effort where in the last 2019 campaign, they sent over a million calls from the United States to India during the 2019 Prime Minister elections. They operated in over 20 states. They had multiple cities, and they are an impressive political machine that we also need to build counterpower to. Because we have the numbers, we have the organizing vision, we just didn't have the confidence to fight Hindu fascism. But what are we here today? Stop Hindu fascism. Yes. That's right. And in many ways, we cannot stop Hindu fascism unless we have the vision of Ambedkar in front of us. Because if there was one community that has always stood against Brahmanism, it was always the caste-oppressed Bahujan communities. So this battle for us does not begin with the CAA. It doesn't even begin in the 1900s with Hindutva. It began with the Manusmriti, the Hindu text that actually said that women were inferior, that if a Dalit were actually to speak in Sanskrit and speak the Vedas, we should have lead poured into our ears and our tongues cut off. We want a different vision, one in which there is intercaste and interfaith solidarity, where those of us who've experienced genocide do not have to hide in the margins, but we can speak to atrocity to be able to find dignity. But most importantly, We want to be free. And in order for us to fight for freedom, we don't need to take a liberal position. We need to put it all on the line because our brothers and sisters in South Asia are risking now. If they are in Shaheen Bagh there every night, in a place where Amit Shah is in control of the Delhi police, when he is beating people, when you're seeing children raped in Uttar Pradesh by the UP police, when they are cordoning off Muslim neighborhoods and asking people for papers, when is the time to act before genocide? Before or after the bodies? We must act before genocide, before it starts.
Yes.
And that means we must act in ways we have never done before.
Yeah.
So being here in Artesia is the beginning of a national movement.
Yes.